Всем привет, с вами снова я, Яранчик. Я продолжаю говорить в Stanley Parable Ультра Deluxe. Знаете, что вот в пятницу, да, и в субботу роликов не было. Я был чутка занят в пятницу, а в субботу ленился.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ведро пока что пропустим. Сейчас будем искать эти фигурки.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Большая комната, куча коробок. Где-то, где есть красный, синий. Личное душное помещение для важной персоны. Кажется, понял, где это. Ну что ж, в таком случае поднимаемся в офис.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Да, вот он.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Так, у нас осталась большая комната с кучей коробок, где-то красные и синие, да?
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
Не. Дальше не будем идти. Сразу же перезапустимся, так будет
All of his
быстрее.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Получается, направо, да?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Мышку случайно двинул.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Yes, truly a room worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
И вот здесь вроде как должна быть, насколько я
Stanley was so bad
помню.
at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5
Да, вот
years
она.
ago.
Так, это нам куда? Это нам сюда. Здесь я еще не был.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one. And then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can.
Так. Ну-ка, что у нас здесь? Фонарика у меня нет. Стоп, что?
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had
Ну,
begun
видимо,
from
нам
so
здесь
far off the
встречи
beaten
делать.
path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path, that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Допустим.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Не, ну красный и синий, это, наверное, где двери, да? Красные и синие.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Oh.
Give me a chance. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Круто.
Now listen carefully, this is important.
Okay.
Stanley walked through the red door.
Ладно.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here, yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Где?
If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Красиво. Квадратики.
No, wait. Where are you going? Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Ладно, пошли на концовку.
No! What did we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die! What about this isn't getting through to you? Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're... No!
Высоко.
Oh, thank God. No. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Недалеко падать.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for... My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Уи.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Полетели.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Опа-на. Опа-на.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Сейчас вспоминаем. Когда Стэнли нашел все коллектаблсы, коллекционные предметы. Статуэтки.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Семь.
And here was a second Stanlerine. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
8. 8 шестых. Это... У нас 2 секунды. 1:33 где-то.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini-Stan? Can you remember?
Здесь, кажется...
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
О,
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a figly in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
ладно. Допустим. А как он тут не упал? А? Стэн.
This was the fifth mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Ну-ка. Как ты нашел вот этот... Сделан нарратором. Что это? Это место номер 5. Знаешь, мы рядом с Маргаритой. Спасибо за просмотр. Гридец. Нарратором.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
8 минут. Ну, получается, нам туда?
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Что это тут у нас?
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
В настоящем.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction.
Okay.
See how that feels.
Окей. Хорошо. Пошли.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
Да.
Yes, I love that video.
Ну, прекрасно.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Пошли туда. Там мы еще не были. Ладно, там невидимая стена.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Собери их всех. Collectibles. Прыжковый круг.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the... Oh, yes! The two doors! Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
427.
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go.
Ну, поехали.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ну, проходим на самую оригинальную концовочку. Ну, а вот оригинальную вот.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming New Age music.
О, я на диван забрался.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
А теперь вниз.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Щелкаем.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
Кажется, необычно.
Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more.
Sure.
And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track, Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful. You should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending. Now it's an ending. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. Railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Как его там? А, да, концовка спидранерская.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Так, и еще раз. Блин, надо защелкать теперь. Ладно, возможно, не надо было перещелкивать вот так вот. Окей, как видим, тут некоторые изменения. Во.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either.
Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go.
Спускаемся. Окей, спустились.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Такс. Зашли сюда.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Так, не останавливаемся, не останавливаемся.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this... blackness, and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy. How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Где-то дверь должна быть где-то здесь.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here. It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA. Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused. You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favourite." I hope your friends find this concerning. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his...
Куда она исчезла,
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through the good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Может, направо пройти?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Okay, this is day number 295.
Опа.
Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
Такая вот концовочка.
How wonderful. Stanley was alone. Finally. This is great, he thought to himself. This is what I've wanted all along. I got what I wanted. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Не, ну где же?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Вот должна быть.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could he decided to
Я
go to the
догнал.
meeting?
Точнее, посмотрел, лол. Эпилог. Вот он. Эпилог. Много-много лет спустя. Естественно, много-много лет спустя. Костер. Да, почему просто нет холодно. Ну, потому что вот пускай теплая емкость. Маленькая очень. Восход или закат. Зона памяти. Генератор. Что это? Обзор на Stanley Parable 2. Не понравилось. Разработчики Stanley Parable. Больше никаких спин-оффов и сиквелов. После невероятного успеха Stanley Parable ТСП в 2013 году его авторы себя рали сделать из-за одной игры целую франшизу, но ужасающий провал ТСП-2 в честь отзывов продаж заставил разработчиков придумать, о чем они даже выпустили отдельный пресс-релиз. Теперь нам ясно, что больше старый добрый ТСП это не то, что хотели игроки, говорится в пресс-релизе. Мы думали, у нас есть понимание, как порадовать фанатов целых серий игр, но глубоко заблуждались. Дальше по пресс-релиз сообщает сохранить художественную целостность оригинала и перестать ранить фанатов нашим оскорбительным видением. Слово «жаль» появляется как минимум 25 раз. Джим.
Jim. Jim.
Это уже не кликает.
Jim.
Тоже Джим. Фигурки. Пошли. Так что это тут у нас? Привет еще раз. А я не походил. Ладно. Рад вас видеть. Но как грустно знать, что больше не будет игр по Stanley Parable. Вы читали, что сказали разработчики? Сохранить целостность франшизы? Какая чушь. Stanley Parable не священная корова. Ее не надо беречь. Что это ортоцелостность? Надо делать игры по Stanley Parable, пока солнце не взорвется. Загоним франшизу в могилу, а потом воскресим. Что думают люди? А разве это важно? Это была главная проблема рассказчика. Ему было так важно, что подумают о его творениях. Не повторяйте в ошибку. Не цепляйтесь за старое. Пусть все горит. Это несложно. Давайте я покажу. Мы вместе делаем за Stanley Parable 3. Это просто. Нужно просто поменять номер на заставке. Еще какой-нибудь тупой подзаголовок. Громкий и безвкусный. Попробуйте сделать из этого набора слов классное ее название для нашей игры. Легендарный сотрудник. Вызов орангутан. Тот самый. Яд. Жареный сотрудник. Мне нравится легендарный сотрудник. Со Stanley Parable 3 легендарный сотрудник. Полная чепуха. И это круто. С каждым запуском игры мы будем повышать номер сиквела на 1 и добавлять новый подзаголовок. И тогда Stanley Parable не закончится. А в игре при этом вообще ничего не изменится. Над новыми материалами надо работать. Кому это нужно? Контентом. Контент будет все тот же. Снова и снова. Просто с новой заставкой. Что скажете? Как вам такой план? Великолепный план, Уолтер. Отлично, договорились. Новый сиквел с каждым новым запуском. А знаете, раз уж вы поверили в мою идею, я хочу и вас кое-чем поощрить. Вижу, рассказчик так и не придумал, как выдать вам сломанное достижение, так? Ну, конечно, разумеется, он не справился. И это меня тяготит. Но это мы исправим. Вот, пожалуйста. Теперь эта машина с новыми достижениями работает. Видите? Мы на одной стороне. Мы команда. Мы капитаны этого корабля. Stanley Parable не закончится. Она будет вечно идти по спирали. А я за этим прослежу. Я готов. Вы готовы? Отлично. У нас осталось всего одно дело. Видите текущее время. Окей. 12:53. Ну, PM, естественно. Наверное. Может, 0:54 уже. Надо вводить. Время гуглить конвентер, ура! Окей, я разобрался, нам нужен PM. Хорошо. Получается 12:56, да? 57. PM. Вроде правильно. Как-нибудь едва виден. Подтвердить. Спасибо. Хорошей игры в Stanley Parable. Вы запустили. Stanley Parable комплементарный сеттинг. Что? Ладно, пошли получать достижения.
This is the story. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
Теперь должна эта
memo.
дверь появиться. Во. Stanley Parable 2. Представьте, если бы эта игра действительно провалилась. Из-за этой, например, бесконечной дыры. Это была бы такая ирония.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be. But let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Так. Где у нас достижение было? Вот. Получите его здесь. Бесплатные, новые, плюс легкое достижение. Работает. Это работает, получите его здесь. It just works.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident?
No.
Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Тестовое
As you
достижение.
can see, the machine is not working yet since... What? Wait, what in the holy hell is going on? You got the achievement? Why did the machine work? Stanley, I didn't fix it. I didn't do anything to it. I swear, it was broken just a second ago. Who fixed it? Is someone here? Are we being watched? Oh, God. Composure, composure. Yes, as you can see, the machine is working as normal, as I intended. It truly speaks to the awe-inspiring magic of the Stanley Parable 2. Breathe. Just breathe.
Окей. Я предлагаю запустить игру еще пару раз. Окей, я запустил. Еще раз. Да. Stanley Parable 4. Яд. В бой идет заряд. То есть каждый раз, видимо, разные заставки будут. Так, The Stanley Parable 5. Получеловек, полумладенец. Карманный круг. Орангутан. Запрещенный орангутан. Уничтоженный химикат. Боевой младенец. Получеловек, полукруг. Полукруг. Полухимикат. Мне это нравится. Видите, новая заставка. The Stanley Parable 6. Тупо беседа. Так, берегитесь, рядом сотрудник. Неуловимый сотрудник. Наступает побег. Опасный рывок. Неуловимый сотрудник. Неумолимый круг. Берегись, рядом круг. О, еще одна.
This is the story of a man named... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who...
Окей, вот я снова здесь.
Stepping into his manager's office.
Вуаля.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley
Текст еще раз.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean, he wondered. Desperate for answers, he began turning the room over looking for clues that might unravel the situation, until at last he discovered a keypad behind the boss's desk. But alas, no code. For this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Подождем.
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
Вздыхает.
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Что-то мы, кажется, никуда не уехали. Да, что-то, мне кажется, вообще никуда не уехали. Тогда зачем это было? Класс. Теперь мы вообще себя закрыли. Алло? Ладно. Идем обратно. А ведь дверь закрывалась, да? Теперь у нас открыта эта дверь. Любопытно. Вы уходите. А текст касательных капсул на этаж 760. Окей. Поднимаемся. Рассказчик что-то притих. Семьсот 57. Семьсот 58. 759. Место запуска спасательных капсул. Выход. Опа. Собственность Стэнли. Ведро спас. Ну ладно. А теперь...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Окей, я снова здесь. Ведра, кстати, теперь тут нет. Загрузка. Не ведь пьет запись, да? Да, идет. Надеюсь. 755. Ну, поднимаемся дальше.